everybody. Welcome to When Calls the Hallmarkies. And today we are talking about When Calls the Heart, season 12, episodes 6 and 7. And these were some wild episodes. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about them. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Mary's here.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm just noticing I have something on my sweatshirt. I was cold, and also the background looks cold because it's
Yeah,
snowy,
that's
and
true.
it's winter time as we record this, even though it's not winter time in Hope Valley. So
Yeah, it fits quite well
yeah,
with your background.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
cold. Sweatshirt.
because we're both in Utah. We've had crazy weather
Yeah.
this last week, and on Thursday, here's a crazy story. So I work in Sandy, and I had to review a play in Provo at the Covey at 7:30.
Oh,
My plan was I'm going to go see Paddington and Peru in between because I should have had plenty of time to be able
yeah.
to, because that's an under 2 hour movie. I should have had plenty of time to go see it and then go and go review the show. And they had, like, I swear, not only like snow and rain and everything, but there were like 7 accidents. I mean, there was just
Oh,
I tried like going on alternate roads, accident, another alternate road, accident. Like it was brutal. It took me, I didn't get to Provo until after 7 o'clock.
oh, oh, that's
That
awful.
insane. I was almost 4 hours in the car
Oh man,
just to get to
you
Provo.
could have been that kind of driving. You could have been well into another state, on
Yeah,
a
I
normal
could,
day.
in a normal day, I would be in St. George.
Yeah.
That's how about
Oh,
how
that
long
was
it
a
takes
rough
to get to
day.
St. George.
Yeah. We are, it has been crazy here with the rain and the snow. And then my siblings in Missouri have had some crazy, like school canceled.
Yeah.
But then I don't know.
Here they never do. Like, because I grew up in Maryland, and that is some of my fondest memories of like
Watching the TV and the
yeah, waiting by the radio. We would wait the Frederick County Schools, and then they would announce it, because it's one thing to have a day off. It's another thing to have an unscheduled day off.
yes,
Like, that's even more fun.
yes,
And so my mom would make brownies, and we'd play
just
Monopoly or go outside. It was just so fun. Uh and I think at least having a delay makes sense. Like,
yeah.
what are the kids going to really learn in that extra hour? And you could save lives
Yeah, I know. Though we
giving
live,
them.
we can see the school from our house, and so I'm always like, well, I guess we can just go.
Give the everybody, the bus drivers, the students, the parents, everybody, give it just a little more
That's
time.
true.
And like it
Actually, yeah, there's a
I
tip
think
I
it makes
always
sense.
I want to tell people when they're buying houses, think about because we're close to our elementary school, we're a half a mile from our high school, but we're like a far distance from our middle school. Which school do you want to be closest to? Because you're going to be driving a lot to one of them. And for us, I think it's middle school and high school because our kids just have so many more after school activities and sports and the play that we're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm like, maybe we should have lived closer to the middle school because my high schooler can now drive, but it's a half a mile. Or he rides his bike. Anyway, just a
Yeah.
side note about when you're looking to buy a house and you don't have children yet, which school do you want to be driving the most to?
Yeah.
Through the
Yeah. It's
snow or
something to think about. It's
through
something to
the
think.
whatever.
But it is not snowing in
No,
Hope Valley.
it is
It
not.
is autumn.
Is
Autumn
it?
leaves. And
I'm
in fact, the title of episode 6 is When Autumn Leaves Begin to Fall, is
Oh, I
the
missed that.
title of the episode. Yeah. And it's this one, it's Allie and Oliver discover a threat. Rosemary invites the kids to debate Lucas on the radio, and Bill interrogates a suspect with an old friend's help, and Elizabeth fights a cold. So yeah,
Oh, and
this
it was
did she fight it? Really? I don't
did she
know.
or did she embrace it?
So I try to wait to watch both episodes together,
Okay.
because it just so that it'll be most fresh and stuff. And so if since we do 2 episodes at once, sometimes I'll hear feedback, on episode 1 of that we're
Yeah.
doing, because there's
Yeah.
a week in between. And this one, I certainly heard feedback on this one.
Oh, Oh my word. I mean, the comments on social media, the ones in our own chat, the ones in my own family after episode 6 were like, what did I
Yeah.
just watch?
So evidently, evidently Elizabeth's sick head, her sick dream is like she all of a sudden becomes a Harlequin romance reader.
The title of this should have been called Fever Dreams
Yeah, fever
or
dreams.
Don't Watch with Your Children in the
Yeah.
Room.
Well, I remember at one of when we were doing the preview for the season, there was a quote, I think it was the Hardy's reunion or something like that, from Aaron Krakow talking about that there was a steamy scene, and she's like, "Don't worry, it's very chaste," and she kind of backed
Oh, I mean,
backed
she
it,
could call it chaste, but I
but
wrote down this is feeling on the border of inappropriate.
yeah.
Like,
Well, see,
and
I was curious what your thoughts were because you kind of joke sometimes, "Oh, I'm a prude" or
I
whatever,
do.
and like I mean, I was I was fine with it, but it did feel like very random. And,
Did,
like
yeah.
what is happening, especially because these are the people that wanted you to believe that Nathan was incapable of asking a woman out on a date for
Several seasons.
years and years, that we never got to see him kiss a
Yeah.
woman for 5 seasons. And so now you're gonna tell me that he's like, now you're gonna try to do this like
Like, well,
man
maybe that's why they had to
candy,
put it in
man,
dreams
yeah,
because
man candy roll, and it just
yeah, they had to put it in a dream. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
there were some okay, though for I basically just kind of started laughing by the end. I was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
this
and
is
I
so
do think
good."
it was like intentionally supposed to be kind of silly. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
funny,
Once
you
I
know.
yeah, I stopped being a prude and just started laughing. I was like enjoying myself. But some of the lines from those dreams, some of the things they said, was like, oh my goodness. I just went on a TV show in Salt Lake City and told people that families could watch this together. So don't make me a liar.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was like inappropriate. Like
No, you're right.
I think it's fine, but yeah, it just felt very, I didn't think it was inappropriate, but I did think it was like out of place for this show.
Out of place could be a better word for it.
Yeah, out of
Eh,
place for this show. And like there are times when I just feel like, do you understand your audience at all? Like, what are you doing? Like this, like the thing with When Calls the Heart is that I feel like 80% of the time it's pretty vanilla. It like they won't take a risk, they don't want the characters to grow. Everybody makes perfect choices all the time. And
Right.
that's why I was like interested in the idea of Elizabeth and Lucas, because I felt like there was more potential for her character to grow in that with that pairing, but then they did absolutely nothing with it, and Lucas was like perfect the entire time, so there was
Yeah.
never any chance for Elizabeth to like grow as a person. And so it's like 80% of the time the show is like that's what it is, and I'm fine with it, and I'm fine covering it. I don't have any problem. But like then like that 20%, they just lose their minds, and they're like,
And then just do something
and they're like, they're
out of
like,
the blue.
we can't believe that the fans didn't like this. And I'm like, what are you
Because
saying? Of course they
you
like
went
it.
crazy. Though I will say in our Hallmarkies chat, somebody pointed out, and I felt seen, that it might have been the Team Lucas fans who were freaking out the most over that episode.
Oh, no question. No
Yeah. I
question.
think Team
Yeah.
Nathan fans were like, we love it. This is so cute. Look at them together. Oh, this is so funny. Me, I am slowly coming out of accepting the fact that it didn't happen with Lucas. She's now
Yeah.
with Nathan. So
Yeah. And I mean, and there were some like pretty sexy scenes with between Lucas and Elizabeth. So it's not like
yeah,
that, but that like fit his character more. We were supposed to believe that Nathan was like a total stuffed shirt, like
he's
that
a
he is like,
Boy Scout, like
yeah,
super
Boy Scout,
chaste.
like just nothing. And
Yes.
eh,
Yeah. And yeah. Well, I think
I
also
mean, I guess it's a dream, so anybody can behave any way
that's
in a
true. I
dream.
mean, yeah, goodness. Haven't we seen that before in movies and stuff? Like what
Yeah.
we can make somebody do something crazy as long as
Yeah.
it's within a play or within a dream. I guess
After
like
she
this.
has the dream, then he knocks on the door and she's like, "You again?" And he's like, "Again?" That was very funny.
I felt a little bit, I love this show and I will continue to watch it, but I felt a little bit like they were dipping into soapy kind of soap territory even more than
Oh,
they do.
yeah.
Because I've already seen her make out and meet and
Yeah.
marry Jack, make out and get engaged
Yeah.
to Lucas. And so I'm like, ugh. But I just give
Well,
her, I don't know, maybe because I've been married 21 years, I'm like, just get married and have a nice, I
yeah.
don't know. But it's still for my neighbor who's a huge Nathan fan, she loved this
Yeah,
episode.
she loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, she loved
I
it.
mean, I sometimes feel like I wish that they leaned into the camp a little bit more.
Yeah,
So I guess I can't complain that much about
that's
this.
true.
It just felt so random, like so out of place. And
The
for
writers are
this
like, what do you
show,
want from me? I
I
give
know.
you
They probably were
camp
just
and you
like,
go and complain.
but
It was
uh,
a little, yeah, it was fun.
it just
And
like, again, they're at like 80% and then they go, and
yeah,
then they're back down here. And, and that's the way this show has always been since the very beginning,
yeah,
that it would be like very, very safe. And then all of a sudden they're like, what?
yeah.
So go
And in
figure.
episode 7, a little bit of that with the party too. It was like
Yeah.
really, we're not in Hope Valley. We're doing something crazy and cool. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
two episodes with a lot to think about. So
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
So we find out that that Rosemary she gets the idea from Fiona for starting this the daily dialogue
yes.
show.
Yeah.
And you're you have radio experience. What do you think about this
talk
idea?
show? Yeah, I kind of loved it. The beginnings of like a talk show, really, where you couldn't really take calls at that time, but this idea of using this medium to talk things out, to flesh out ideas, to discuss, to debate.
Yeah.
And when it morphs into basically what we had and what I helped with at our local radio station was Let Me Talk to the Governor. Let Me Speak to the Governor was what the show was called. And the governor would come in once a month and people would call in with crazy stuff and also very solid questions. So I see this happen in this episode and I kind of loved that from my radio background.
Yeah, definitely. And it was fun and a fun idea I was surprised a little bit that Rosemary wouldn't have just had herself debating Lucas.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, she was like, I don't know who to ask. I'm like, why don't you just do it?
Rosemary.
Yeah. So what do you think about Eva? What do you think her scheme is? Because she's there's this big tab that they've got, but they find her luggage, but we find out in the next, I think it's the next episode, find out that it's mail stuff in the luggage. What's going on? What do you think?
I keep writing it down like my teenagers say. She's very sus. I think that means suspicious. I'm so confused. She's super sus, sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, what is her deal? The luggage, the clothes aren't hers. She's she's very free with other people's money. And yeah, I don't know. When are they going to tell us? And how long is she on the show for? Because this arc is lasting for a while of who is
I know.
the stranger.
I'm surprised. And yeah, it's like she obviously knows a lot about Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
but so what is she trying to do? What
What?
could she possibly get from Elizabeth?
I know, I know.
'Cause
Why is she in town
Elizabeth doesn't
for?
have like a lot of money, so like what would she be after?
Is she, well, I wrote down, I think in episode 7, I feel like she's catfishing these folks. She keeps
Mm,
quickly making up, oh, my parents are, oh, they're blah, blah, blah. I'm like, she's going to forget all the lies she's telling.
yeah.
And why isn't anybody, well, maybe Bill and Rosemary, who love to pair up to do detective work, why aren't they like, wait a minute?
Do you think that Ava will end up being involved with the robbery and everything
Oh, I don't
somehow,
know. I mean,
some
remember how
way?
we used to think Mitchell was some sort of, Edwin was
Oh, Edwin,
oh,
yeah. I still
so,
don't trust Edwin.
oh, I don't either. Yeah.
I still don't trust him. Even if
Yeah.
he didn't shoot Lucas, I still don't trust him.
100%. So she
But
might have, they might be trying to make us think she's got something going on, and then we'll have some big reveal and it's another side plot. Or maybe she, yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I'm curious. She might.
it's
Maybe she does.
it's it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So we have this thing that Allie and Oliver realize that there's this problem that because the cows are in the stream, it's causing the salmon not to spawn, which causes the other animals to be hurt, which then causes the algae and the problems and everything like that. And so this was a pretty nice little, I thought, plot for Allie and Oliver.
Yeah. I love them working together, solving, figuring things out and being involved. I always wrote down like they're with maps again. Oliver and Allie are on a hike together, or they're the map.
Yeah.
And though I keep thinking like this geography and topography around Hope Valley is so curious. Then we had a coal mine, then we had hot springs, and
Hot
now
springs.
we have salmon that you spawn. I'm like,
Yeah, what's going
where are
on
they
here?
in the ocean?
And the hot springs are evidently still in use because remember Nathan wants to take Elizabeth on a date to the
Oh,
hot
that's
springs.
right. And they have, a spot that could be a national park. They have cattle that come through. I'm very curious about this Middle
Yeah,
Earth that we've stumbled into.
yeah. So yeah, we get later on. It ends up being a conversation on daily dialogue between Allie, Oliver, and Lucas. And Allie says that the animals aren't coexisting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
She's trying to point out a problem. And kudos to Lucas for not for taking it seriously. I mean, he was surprised on
Yeah.
live air from by two teenagers
Right.
and called out like, what are you going to do about it? And look what's happening. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to look into this. And I liked that.
Yes. So Melissa Gilbert, her character is Inspector George. She went to school with Bill, and
Mhm.
evidently, like he was the one that treated her uh the same as everybody else.
Yes.
Didn't dismiss her because because she's a woman. Trained in forensics together, evidently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I guess I thought I would see her again in the episode following, but that's okay. I enjoyed this interaction. It was really cool to see a little bit more about Bill.
That's true. She wasn't in 7, was she?
Mm-mm. It
I
was kind of
forgot
a one
that.
and done, or I don't know.
Well, I remember her saying that she was in 2 episodes
Oh, okay.
in the preview. So I think she'll be in one more, probably close off that arc.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes
But
sense.
it seems like there's been such a positive response.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see her again
Yeah.
next season.
Yeah, I
Um,
like their interactions. I liked learning more about that background, and they kind of talk about what might have been, which, was an interesting conversation. And yeah.
yeah. So then we find out that Joseph sent in the application for Angela to go to the school for the blind. And I do think I would be pretty annoyed if my husband did something like that without
Yeah.
talking to me about it, especially if he knows that it's something I feel strongly about. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a
Those
little,
things that feels like something you should talk about together for sure. A big thing like that.
yeah.
Um, I I did like how they talk through it and he says, should we pray on it? I love that how but maybe they could have done that before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think it I think that they should. I mean, I guess it's kind of it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission
Yeah.
is the argument, but still when you're married and it affects your
We have to
child,
talk
I
about
feel like you need to talk about it.
big things together for definitely.
Yeah. And then we have Rosemary coming over bringing the cold remedy for Elizabeth. Uh, do you have your go-to when you have a cold? What you
Oh
like?
my
What you
goodness. We have been fighting the dude like it we okay. My poor 17-year-old, in October, he caught some sort of cold, fought it off, had like a lingering cough forever. We got him on antibiotics and albuterol and all this stuff. Felt like we kicked it. January, another wave comes. He's got something or another. We finally kick it. This weekend, he's fighting something again. And I'm like, what is going on? I feel like usually I just go with the tried and true remedies my mom, we grew up with, like, you know, some Tylenol if you've got a fever or sore throat. Honey, I do a lot of honey and hot water and lemon, all those like natural remedies. Pound the vitamin C and vitamin D, and
Yeah.
drink lots of liquid and rest. But for my sweet teenager who could not clear his lungs from this mucus, I was going like
Oh.
staring at the shelves in the pharmacy, like,
Oh.
what do I don't even know. Growing up, I think we had like, it was called Diamond Tap. It was great flavored.
Oh
We
yeah.
had, different like things like that or cough syrups, but we've been pretty healthy as a family. So I'm looking at everything,
Yeah.
ingredients like, do I use Dayquil? Do I use Robitussin? Do
Yeah.
I use,
Well, you can't use any of those because those are only going to make the drainage worse, which will
yeah,
make because it's antihistamine. That's literally what they do is
yeah.
they make the drainage worse. So then you'll be coughing, coughing, coughing. So you have to just get like straight cough syrup, like
Okay.
nothing else. I mean, I say this like I'm a doctor, but this is just my experience. And but that is the worst when you get a cough that won't go away because the thing that's so hard about it is that you can't sleep.
Yes. And my poor boy, like
So then you
literally this
can't
weekend,
heal. You can't get better if you can't sleep.
yes, I'm like rest and fluids. He's like, I can't
Oh,
sleep. I'm
oh,
coughing all
the
night.
worst.
And I know back in the day, like I was thinking about this medicine that they're using in this episode. I swear, didn't they have like opium or like cocaine? Like they had like
Yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah.
drugs like in it that, like stuff that they don't put in it now. But I wonder if that really knocked it out.
Oh,
I don't know.
I remember a couple times just like calling calling my mom in tears, just being like,
Yeah,
I can't breathe, I can't sleep, I can't like I'm
I know.
just
Well,
when you're just
you're so
praying when you're
miserable.
so sick, you're like praying for death. Like
I know.
just
He
end it
was,
now.
oh, my poor boy.
The worst.
Our humidifier broke. I'm gonna go buy another one because it's so dry here. I'm like, maybe we need a
Yeah.
humidifier. Maybe we need a neti pot. I'm doing him
Oh,
saline rinses. We're doing hot packs on his
oh
ears.
man.
Anything. I'm Googling like, and I've been a mom for how long? And this latest round has just
That's
been
the worst.
rough. So, I mean, and in
Yeah.
this, I was
But I
so,
think that I think, yeah. I think Erin did a pretty good job of
yes,
that sick voice and playing sick.
that's exactly what I was going to just say.
Yeah.
She sounded congested and sick. Like, like it was all in her
Mm,
face. Like I could feel like she just sounded so stuffy and sad. Her face,
yeah.
she wasn't made up. Her face looked pale and sad. I was like, I believe she's really
Yeah.
sick
Yeah.
because we're living
Yeah.
through it.
And it is really surprising that they wouldn't have brought in Faith for this scene. There must have been something happening. Obviously, we know
Oh,
that Andrea was pregnant, but there must have been something else that she
yeah.
wasn't
Why
on
wouldn't
set much
they have a
because
doctor in town?
that would make it just made no sense not have her in this episode.
I didn't even think about that. I guess I was just thinking of me trying to fight off these things with my son, but well, I'm about to take him to the doctor and be like, is there another level of, help for him? Because
Oh.
was it just an area where they would, you'd have your own remedies and just take them, or maybe we should have had Faith come in if she's that,
Yeah, should have had.
yeah,
So there must be something. There must have been something
like
happening
off
that
camera.
you know
Yeah,
that she couldn't be in this much of the season, Andrea.
maybe so.
But anyway, that's interesting. And uh we do have Nathan cooking for Elizabeth. That was kind of
Yes.
nice. That was good.
Yes.
And then because she says she never gets sick. Like this is very rare.
Yeah.
for her.
Well, it's kind of like the mom thing. Like you're like, I can't get sick. Who's going to do
Yeah.
anything? I need to stay well.
Yeah.
And it was I really liked that. My heart really melted and softened for Nathan when he was caring for her
Mhm.
as she was sick. Because you need somebody to care for you, like
Yeah.
I need my mom.
Oh, I
I'm a mom
know.
and I need a mom,
Like
kind of
I
thing.
am very independent, and the only time that I ever feel like, oh, I want to be taken care of by my mom is when I'm sick.
Yes,
Like, oh.
I know. So that was
There was one time when I was as sick as I've ever been. Again, I
yeah.
couldn't breathe, I couldn't sleep, I was just, and this is when my parents lived in California, and
Mm.
I was just like, Mom, I can't do it. And I'll never forget, she flew all the way from California to take care of me.
That's so
My mom.
sweet.
So
See?
sweet, so
Sometimes
sweet.
you need it. You can't get
Yeah,
better.
it's like,
Oh,
but
vapor rub. I just had a memory of my mom rubbing vapor rub on my
oh.
chest when I was sick when I was little. I even told my boy, I was like, listen, come get me in the middle of the night. No, I don't want to wake you up. I'm like, I remember waking my mom up and she was always there for me. So I will do that for you.
The
Just
worst.
ignore the
Yeah.
first 2 seconds when I grumble. Who is it?
Well, I did like that Oliver and Allie, they realize their connection. They have so much in common,
Yes.
because both of them have parents in prison.
Yes. Wow. Wasn't that just a
Yeah.
poignant little scene there, Yeah, I wrote Oliver admits his mom is in prison and that's why he sticks to the rules. It's good to
Mhm.
know more about him.
Yeah.
Um, and learn and them bonding really. And I think she's realizing, oh gosh, this is a great guy that I've been ignoring in favor of the wild, handsome,
Yeah. I'm just
guy.
really curious what their end game is though with Allie and Oliver,
Yeah,
because she's only 16.
yeah,
So what are they going to do? Like
yeah.
how, like they
Maybe
can't, are they just going to have them like dating for seasons, for years, or are they going to like time jump the next season, or
or just keep it kind of at this kind of level where it is now, where they're
but how long
yeah,
can they really do that?
I
Like
don't
it has
know.
to be leading somewhere. It has to be going somewhere. And
Maybe Oliver eventually transfers, becomes a Mountie somewhere else, and she's learned from her first teenage romance and moves on
oh,
to
I hope not. I wouldn't like
I,
that.
I don't know.
That's why and they probably knowing when calls the heart, they probably have no idea. No clue. So who
Wait,
knows?
what? Why are we even thinking they have a
Yeah.
plan?
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast. My name is BJ.
And my name is Me Too, and we promise this promo is worth it, so please don't skip ahead.
We're two judgy friends who put our judgmental skills to work for you. We review the pilot episodes of new and popular shows and shows that our listeners request to answer your question, should I watch this?
Look, a lot of us are spending a lot more time at home, and yes, we should be reading and trying new projects and enriching ourselves, but does anything beat binging a great show?
Let us take the guesswork out of deciding what your next show will be. Tune in to The Pilot Podcast at thepilotpodcast.com.
But then we find out that Elizabeth was, as a teen, was in love with a kid named Benedict.
Yes.
Uh,
Isn't that a snobby Hamilton name?
yeah,
I'm just
I
kidding.
can't believe anyone would pick birds over you, because he picked bird watching over
Or thought,
Elizabeth.
or what is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and that would be funny if they brought in this mysterious Benedict for an episode.
Wow.
That would be funny.
Mysterious Benedict Society?
Because I think it might have been funny if she had mentioned Charles.
Yeah. Isn't that hilarious how sometimes
Yeah.
we have flash callbacks and references to stuff in the past, and other times we've completely dropped season 2 and pretend it never
Yeah.
happened. Like
And I
Charles.
think that could have been fun
Yeah.
to bring that up.
I know. They when they talk about heartbreak and she says, "Who broke your heart?" And I said it out loud, "Besides you." And then he said it.
Yeah,
He's like,
besides you.
"Yeah, you broke my heart a couple years ago. Remember?"
Yes.
So,
And then and he's talking to Allie, Nathan. He says, "You deserve someone who is worthy of you."
That was really sweet. I actually wrote that down. I need to remember that when my daughter's older. Is he worthy? He said.
Yeah.
You don't need some boy's attention. That's a that's a great lesson for a girl to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially somebody that respects you and that you can have a good conversation with
Hmm.
and that's that that you want to be with, obviously. But yeah, it's not somebody that you're dragging
Hmm.
everywhere.
Hmm. Or who
Uh,
makes you feel less than.
mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
So we find out that Bill and Georgie kind of missed their chance.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder because he was married, Bill was, but when, right?
Yeah, and I forget that his wife's name. He says that what does he say about that so and so was in the family way? Because he doesn't have any children, Bill, right?
Oh, well, wait a minute. We need Caroline here. Um,
I know.
because remember that whole thing with Abigail, early seasons where she was starting to have a crush on him, and then this ex-wife shows up.
Yeah.
She was like, "You're married?"
Well, and then there's the Josie Bissett character. That's not his. That wasn't his ex-wife, right?
Oh, I can't
That
remember.
was just a fling.
Somebody's gonna remember, and they're gonna
I'm gonna look it up here.
comment for us on that whole relationship. Because did he have a son? Is Bill a father? Why don't I
I don't
remember?
think so. Let's see here.
I know I'm looking up the wiki.
Nora Avery, played by Christina Wagner, estranged wife.
Nora and Bill.
Um, oh,
Oh,
it's just
oh,
they were married in real life. It's just real. It was his real wife.
okay.
In the show, Nora and Bill have a past together. Some believe that Mayor Henry Gowan was the father of the boy that Bill raised after Nora abandoned him while pregnant. In an
Uh,
episode titled Troubled Hearts, Nora wants to make Hope Valley her home, but plans to leave for a while to settle things in Hamilton. Before she leaves, Henry gives her a gift, and they reminisce about meeting for the first time.
so Henry has a past with Nora. Bill has a past with
Oh,
Nora, and Bill raises a son. Yeah,
that's right.
okay.
I forgot about that
Forgot all
because
about
they.
that. And meanwhile, here's
Um,
Georgie that was a part of all of that quadrangle triangle issue.
see, when was it? I'm looking here. Season 2. Yeah, so that's why it's going back.
Yeah.
Season 2 and 3.
Oh,
Nora Avery.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Caroline would have known all about that.
Would have she would have been like, "What is wrong with you two?" Well, and listeners who are coming new to us who have streamed it from the beginning more recently, thank you for,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Let
being
us
patient
know.
with
I mean,
us. Yeah,
it's 12 seasons.
it's a long
It's a
time.
lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
But let's see here. So yeah, in that yeah. So okay, so that makes sense. Is what he was talking about. Is that Nora was in the family way, and but it wasn't his child, but he helped. He
Yeah.
they married, and that's why they had to get married quickly.
Okay.
Because of that. Okay, great. So that's why they feel like they missed their shot.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Georgie back.
Yeah.
Because again, the response has been so positive.
Yes. Well, and they're
It
trying to solve a
seems,
mystery that she's there for.
yeah, and it seems like she really enjoyed the whole experience for what I've seen,
Hmm.
on internet and social media and stuff like that. But so who knows? But that could be
Yeah.
good. We get another fantasy from Elizabeth with Nathan chopping wood. That made me laugh.
That was where I was like, okay. When she was talking about taking your shirt off when you chop wood.
Sure,
Oh my word.
chopping
My
wood.
goodness. But anyway, it is what it is. They did it.
I laughed. I thought it was funny, but it totally. I get it. It was not in keeping with this show. It was not. I get it,
Maybe
but
it was
it
their
made me
way of
laugh.
making up to Nathan fans for so long. Like, we're going to give you a whole bunch of them being
Yeah, I
lovey-dovey
guess.
in a dream. Because, yeah, yeah,
It was bizarre, but so bizarre that it made me laugh.
me too.
So then we have Rosemary subbing in for Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is submitting this like curriculum Get that more in the next episode, but it's submitting this curriculum because
Mhm.
evidently nobody in Canada has thought of the idea of like nature of an interactive
Yeah.
curriculum in
Maybe in
using
the
nature.
1920s, she
Like
was.
revolutionary.
I know, maybe they were still going by the class readers, first reader, second reader, and she, commit. I don't know.
Yeah. So then the students are there, and then this conversation between Allie and Lucas
Yeah.
about the contamination,
On the
and
radio.
then Fiona dragging her feet, accepting this guy. I know what I want, but I don't know how to get there. And
Yeah.
and I can sympathize with that because there's a lot of things that I would love to do, but I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then in personal life, it's the same. Like, there's a lot of things I would love to do. But it
When it's
takes, especially marriage, it takes another person who
I
wants
know,
to
I was
agree.
thinking
Like,
that for Fiona, she has all these things she wants to do, but a lot of it's out of her control. It has to be, she's reliant on other people. And isn't that the truth in our own lives? Like you might have goals or dreams or things you want to do, but some of it you just can't do by yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it says if you want to do God's work, it requires sacrifice, but we shouldn't have to sacrifice too much.
Hmm.
So, that obviously she has to, God would want her to be happy.
Yeah.
If she's like, it's one thing to say, like, I want to get married, there's one thing to be practical about
Mhm.
it and be sort of, maybe this isn't ideal, but I do admire this person. I like this person. I can be happy, with this person. It's not like my fantasy. That's one thing. But another thing, if you really don't think you'll be happy with this person, then what?
Yeah.
Of course,
I
God would want
know.
you to be happy.
I want to know more about this guy and why she's so hesitant.
Yeah, it's
So
it's it's confusing,
if there are red
but
flags, or if it's just cold feet, yeah,
mhm,
I don't know.
yeah. And so then we have this scene with Allie talking to Oliver, and that's when they realize that they both have parents in prison.
Hmm.
And then Minnie starting to warm up of the idea of Angela going to school. And then this is when we see that there's man stuff in Eva's trunk.
Yeah, it's not her trunk, and she
So
lied.
I'm just very curious because how could she have possibly known that she could get all this free stuff and be this thing? Like, so there has to be more than
She's the
just that to her. There's something going on that's why I wouldn't be surprised if somehow she's involved with this robbery.
the Garrison gang or with any
Garrison gang,
or
yeah.
trying to come get it because we saw this last season with that sketchy lady who was
Yeah.
actually the one running the whole thing. So yeah, this Ava, I just
Yeah.
don't know. She's a manipulator.
Yeah. I did die laughing when we end the episode with Nathan having his dream and it's the dog and
Oh my gosh. My DVR cut off the last like 10 seconds, but I did see he woke up and it was Scout licking his face, like just about died laughing.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that was really funny.
That, oh my goodness. My husband and I we just like it was the what's the word? Burst out laughing. It's true.
Yeah,
What we
me
both did.
too.
We were like,
So, all right. Episode 7 is called Dance the Night Away. And this is Elizabeth and Nathan's date night leads to an undercover operation at a glamorous party. Lucas and Edie grow closer over cards, and Rosemary holds auditions for a play. So a lot going on here. We've got Rosemary putting on the importance of being earnest.
Mhm.
And so I just saw the importance of being earnest not too long ago. I saw it
Okay.
last summer, and Parker Theater, great theater. And they did a good job with it. It's amusing, but I don't know where she's coming off saying that Algernon is like some swashbuckler. Like,
I know,
what is she talking about?
I'm trying to remember because I saw the movie years ago and I didn't think that was the case either.
Oh,
Honestly, isn't it a lot of dialogue?
yes.
It's not much action. It's
Like,
mostly talking.
Like, he's a liar,
Yeah.
and he's kind of trickster in that sense. He's lying about Ernest and about everything, but like he's not a slosh. He's not an action man. It's not like
Yeah.
they would have made a lot more sense going with Pirates and Penzance, I think, with
Oh, for
this.
that kind of, yes. Maybe
Yeah, and it would
it's
have been
got,
around the same time period. That one's way more
yeah.
of, I
Or
mean,
she's
it
thinking
points to
like,
being earnest is just like them at the house. I actually think
yeah,
it's kind
they
of
just
boring.
talk. It's like,
Right.
from what I can remember, there's a main girl and two boys, and they just talk a
Yeah.
lot. So they're
Yeah.
funny.
And one of them's pretending to be earnest
Yeah.
and and then the lie just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Maybe
And
Rosemary has this big idea of how she wants to direct it in a certain way.
yeah, because
Uh,
it's not, I mean, you could have even done like 12th Night would be more. Because
Yeah.
at least like what's his name is shipwrecked and there's like a
Mhm.
little bit of, kind of like I I don't know. It's just it's like what is going
Yeah.
on?
Or did
It
they
made me
expect us
laugh.
to not to know too much? They didn't
I
expect that
guess.
that we would have a real life theater critic.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't pretend to be an expert on Importance Being Earnest, but it was just surprising because I actually find the play to be kind of boring.
Yeah.
I get sleepy watching it, and because it's really based on like, do you find the humor, the jabs between them like funny, and some of them are funny, but a lot of it is just like not that funny to modern audiences,
Yeah, it's
and
different now.
so it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But so it's
She's
uh
taking it so
she's saying it very,
seriously.
and Algernon is evidently quite the hero
Yeah.
in the so doing these auditions,
Yeah.
and of course Mike wants to be
Oh, he had
considered.
Mike Hickam auditions and Rosemary hates it.
Yeah.
She's just so irritated. You can see it all over her face that she's like, this is not, nope, I don't like it. And he wants to do a good job so
Yeah.
bad.
And May's there to support. That
Encouraging
was
it.
really cute. I
That was
love that.
that was really cute. He's like, should I do it again? Should I do it again? She's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
So Eva's running up this big tab. They're getting all more and more concerned. Lee's concerned. What's going on? And they just don't like her. They don't trust her.
no, not at all. And honestly, you'd think, because I'm not sure how much time is passing, but you'd think they would have been like, all right, what are you doing? What's your
Yeah.
plan? You're spending all this money running up this tab. You keep making up, they try to pin her down and she'll be like, oh, my parents are, oh, they're in the Alps or whatever.
Her story keeps changing.
It keeps changing.
Mhm.
And nobody's calling her on it.
Yeah.
They're just kind of letting her go along and keep putting up with her and
Yeah. Well,
irritating.
so then Elizabeth plans this date for her and Nathan because
Yeah.
Nathan's never going to plan dates. Like we've given up.
True. She arranges it all.
Yeah.
Lee knows a guy. And so like it's so she gets this all together. The train tickets. My husband was like, she made it sound like it was super hard to get train tickets or the movie tickets. I'm like, the whole thing. She had to arrange
Yeah, it was an ordeal.
Yeah.
And they're going to see Buster Keaton, and some people will say, do you prefer Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin? I'm in Team Keaton.
I had to.
Yeah.
At BYU, I took a film class and we just watched movies the whole semester. It was fantastic. And
Yeah,
I
that'd be
fell
fun.
in love with Buster Keaton and
Yeah.
his style and his comedic timing, everything.
I mean, some of those action set pieces are still unmatched, unrivaled,
Amazing.
unbelievable what he did. And of course, it's very funny as well, but yeah, great. If you're listening and you haven't seen a Buster Keaton movie. Definitely take the time because it is absolute genius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And
Mhm.
that was cool to see this reference to them going
Yeah,
to
that
see a
was
Buster
fun.
Keaton movie in the 1920s, getting all dressed up and going on a date that
Yeah.
they had to take a train for and go get a babysitter. Who, by the way, who's Talia? Because Little Jack spends a ton of time with Talia.
I don't know who Talia is.
She was mentioned in both episodes, and she said something about how, oh, Jack's gonna have a weekend with Talia. I'm like, what? Is she what?
Let's see,
So
Talia.
this is just a way,
Um,
I guess, of having the young actor not having to act as much, maybe, to give these kind of
oh,
explanations for,
Talia is the little girl.
oh, oh, so they like
He must just be with her
like a play
mother.
date
Um,
where he spends,
she's the little girl that's like her and Lily are the same age. That's Talia.
oh,
So it must just
oh,
be like Talia's mom,
okay. I
I
thought it was a
guess.
teenage babysitter like Laura.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay. Well, good.
So,
He's playing and he's happy because he doesn't have a sibling. He needs to have a friend. So, okay. Got it.
yeah, she's the one who tells Jack that he's lucky to have Mrs. Thornton as his mom. And then
Cute.
he's
That's
like, I don't want to
right.
call you mom in school or whatever.
Yeah, mama.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
right.
that's it. That's
That's why they were
interesting.
able to go on this long date out of town.
Yeah,
He's got this help. Okay.
evidently. I mean, I don't know why she wouldn't just stay with Lee and Rosemary.
That's true too.
Why he
They were
wouldn't
just next
stay.
door. They
Yeah,
would always babysit back and forth in past
yeah.
episodes and seasons. But
So then we have Rosemary asking Bill to audition.
yes, that was fun because she
That
like
was fun.
I knew she was thinking Bill and she's like, I need somebody. Aha. And then she like marches right into his office and they talk a little bit about the Garrison gang. And then she's like, Bill? And she wants him to, and he doesn't shut her down. He starts talking in this English accent, like, yeah, I could do
Yeah,
it.
that was funny. I liked that.
It's like, but of course, or whatever.
Yeah. So then Nathan and Elizabeth go to the movie and then they're dancing and then they get spotted by somebody and it's the gambler guy,
Yeah. Toddy Davis.
Toddy Davis.
I
And
yeah, on the street. And then speaking of making up lies and trying to stick with your story, right there on the
yeah,
street, and he's like, call me Danny for the next few minutes. Hi.
this is my wife Diane.
And
And
big
yeah,
eyes, but she went along.
they should have had their story straight
Yeah. It got worse and worse
because
and worse through that party.
it did. And
Though they had clothes that fit them, like they were going to get them to this party. This
yeah,
couple, Toddy and his wife, I can't remember her name. Um, they were like, "You're coming to this
yeah,
big shindig," and
yeah, they just got back. They were like, we just got back from the Netherlands and we had quite the haul.
yeah, yeah,
And they're like, you got to come to this party. And she's like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, wow, you got a better invitation? It's like, oh, wow.
ah, snaps. They're like, "We'll be there,"
Yeah.
and
I mean, just already doing a movie and you figure that it's got to be like pretty late.
yeah,
So this is a late party. There's a great Ray Romano bit that he does where he talks about he's like everybody that's here in this audience has already succeeded. It doesn't even matter if my jokes are good because we left the house. We left the house. That's the whole goal being a parent is being an
You
adult.
are out of the house. You are dressed in clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept thinking that too. I kept thinking, what time does the train go back to get back to your child? Or you're out, have a great time. I know I was like torn between that for Elizabeth,
Well, yeah, and then he says, I thought you wanted to do business together. So it's like, oh man,
Yeah,
not
in
that
this
I have any choice.
exactly in this atmosphere, you kind of have to run in these circles. You have to be there to if he wants to do business and continue his investigation, really, he has to go to this party. So
Yeah. So then back at the auditioning process, everybody wants Ava as Gwendolyn. But Rosemary doesn't trust her and she feels threatened. She definitely feels like this is like people keep comparing her
yeah.
Eva to her, saying that Eva was like her, and that's not sitting well with Rosemary.
Not at all. And I loved it
Yeah.
because Oh, it was so funny. Elizabeth mentions that, I seem to remember somebody rolling into town. She's like, Elizabeth. And then Lee is pointing these things out, that they seem similar. And Rosemary's just
Yeah,
so
she's
irked by it. She's,
yeah,
oh,
that was
so
funny.
good.
So then Lucas talks to Edie about so Allie and Oliver had given Lucas this new plan,
Hmm.
and that there's this pasture off to the side, and they could put the animals in there. And so he presents this to Edie, and they're playing cards, and it turns out Edie has a tell when they're playing cards. She's playing
Yeah.
cards.
I love
So
this because there was a little bit of that bad boy Lucas back.
yeah.
Oh, that he plays cards well and he can read people and that he can see her tell, which was what play with her ring finger, I think. And
Hmm.
he can tell when she's lying. And there's something going on with this whole
Yeah,
pasture
because
and trail. And
yeah, so here's the crazy thing is she says pretend you never heard about the other pasture.
I know.
What?
I needed
What
to
is
ask.
that?
My sister-in-law was raised on a cattle ranch in central Utah, and I swear you need different pastures and you're gonna have different feeding grounds. So why would you not want to like
Yeah.
consider why weren't they moving to different places anyway? Or what, but what's going on?
And
What
you
is
just think
there?
if it's not about because clearly somebody owns these animals, like they're
Mhm.
so it's not like she's just making all this up. So
What is going
what is
on?
her
And
motivation?
is it connected? Because Toddy said, I know a rancher who got a lot of gold. Now, Canada's huge. There could be ranches all over.
Oh,
Are these, is that, or is that just a little earworm? Are these connected? This cattle and moving in a certain way. What?
oh, that would be
Just
interesting.
a tiny thought, but maybe they're
Yeah.
not connected at all. But like, because you know how When Calls a Heart has plots and subplots all over the place. And
But I
often
could
it just
see it.
ends.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But what is going on?
Well, could Toddy be manipulating Edie? Or are they going to
Hey,
try to do that twice since they just did it with what's her name?
yeah, I don't know.
You
I don't
know?
know. Or are these separate and Edie's got something going on that she knows about and needs to have things a certain way. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So then we have Fiona. She's struggling. She they're selling the salon, and she says, wasn't one of those girls that dreamed of marriage."
Mm,
And I can connect with that as well because I actually was not really one of those girls. I always assumed I would get married. It just was like, of course, everybody gets married, was
yeah.
sort of the way I used to think. But I was never one that like and maybe part of it is because just in our culture we don't have like traditional weddings, so I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been dreaming of my
Planning a big
bridesmaids and
thing.
stuff.
Yeah, where you've got a
Yeah,
whole dream book where you've pasted things in and
yeah, and it's not like you grow up kind of going to weddings because you go to receptions, but you don't go to
yeah.
weddings for the most part. I think growing up I was only in I think two weddings as flower girl, uh,
Mm.
to my uncles, but uh the
We see a picture of him. Wasn't she holding a picture of this guy?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's struggling, and then and I forget who it was. Is it May? May? I can't remember. But
Very
anyway,
May.
says you have a spark, you should follow it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
May.
May. And then there more going on drama at the party, and this gambler guy shows Nathan his gold watch.
Mm-hmm. It's like there's more of
So
that where that came from.
yeah. So
I
and
did
then
love the singing. Was that before or after
oh yeah, that was nice.
when they sang together
Hmm.
at the party? Really liked that.
Yeah, that was nice. And then Rosemary says, sometimes I miss that feeling that life could take you anywhere.
Oh, I missed that line. I did I did write down where they're talking she and Lee are doing the dishes and she was like that over the top or whatever is not coming near my play. This is my baby and Lee's like and she goes not my
Yeah.
baby.
Well, and I did like that scene where he's like, "Nobody's my Rosie." That was a nice
He
moment. That
reassures
was
her
sweet.
so well.
Yeah.
They're such a good couple because she's just
Mhm.
ranting. I'm not handing this off to an amateur in a tiara. Takes up all the oxygen. And
Yeah.
Lee's like, it's okay, I love that scene.
Yeah, because I do think she doesn't trust Eva, but also
She's feeling threatened, like personally,
threatened.
for her
Yeah, she feels
own
threatened.
worth, her own
Yeah.
talents. Yeah,
Mhm.
I kind of love
Yeah.
that.
So then Elizabeth mails the curriculum.
Hmm.
So we're going to hear more about that.
Yeah, this
And
student-led or project-based or
yeah, it's going to revolutionize Canada. It's going to change everything. Then Rosemary is going to offer the role to Ava,
yeah.
and that's how it ends this episode. And it sounds like next episode from the preview we're going to get a lot of sick, if you will. So it's going to hurt the play.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
gotta change my DVR because I missed the preview for next week. Um, so there's drama. Then there's
Yeah,
drama with
everybody's
the drama.
sick. Everyone's
Okay.
sick.
Okay.
So that should be fun.
Yeah.
So well, let
And
us
we got
know.
a
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
we got a little Jed sighting. I was gonna say too. It looks like he's gonna be in the play, but maybe not.
Oh, we did? I
Yeah,
missed
just
that.
a tiny bit in the corner. She was like, so high hopes, for your favorite character in the background. So
Yeah,
I come
Margette,
forward.
please.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think of these two episodes. What did you think, especially? We want to hear a conversation about our sexy scenes. Let us know what you think in the comments. And Mary, where can people find you?
I'm Mary Richards Reports on Instagram, Reporter Mary Richards on Facebook, and @_Mary Richards on Twitter.
Yeah. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over the place. And make sure you take a look at our When Calls the Heart playlist. We have years and years and years of recaps and interviews and everything. So definitely take a look at that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you're watching YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is the best way you can support us, and you get to be part of really fun watch-alongs and Q&As and other cool events. So check that out. And then we have our merch store, which is brand new. We have a Dashery merch store, which has consistent, you don't even worry about sales anymore. It's just consistent low prices. So take a look at that. We have tons of Hardy's inspired merch at the merch store. And yeah, that's, I think, everything. Again, let us know what you think, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.